not Robbie Hummel. My name is Rob Dauster. I have Jeff Goodman here with me. You are listening to my voice now because between the time that today's episode of the Goodman and Humble podcast was published and the time that it was recorded, news broke that Texas had made the decision to relieve Chris Beard of his duties. He was fired as a result of being charged with a third-degree felony, domestic assault, about a month ago. The statement that was put up by Texas Athletic Director Chris Del Conte reads, "The University of Texas has parted ways with Chris Beard. This has been a difficult situation that we've been diligently working through. Today, I informed Mr. Beard of our decision to terminate him effective immediately." Beard had a 7-year contract that was $35 million guaranteed. I believe that this was, they had the ability to fire him with cause here, which would make it so that I don't know if there's any buyout money. You might have more information on that than I do.
They fired him for cause. They fired him for cause, and their intention was that they're not going to have to pay him a dime. Because
let me just reset what happened for people that have forgotten. On December 12th, it was a Monday morning, Beard was arrested for an incident with his fiance where he was alleged to have choked her, thrown her off the bed, bit her, and left bruises all over her legs while throwing her around. And as she put it, quote, going nuts. 11 days later, his fiance recanted her original statement. She said that she was the initiator of the struggle. That is her word. Struggle is the word that she used in the statement she put out. And that she did not want him to be arrested or charged in that moment. But police found visible wounds on her. And she told the police that night when she was arrested that she could not, quote, "I could not breathe." He probably did it for like 5 seconds. At the end of the day, Jeff, I think that Texas, this was a decision that was always going to get made. I've seen some criticism for the time that it took to make this decision and to arrive at this moment. I personally do not have a huge issue with the amount of time. It's not like he was coaching. It's not like he was getting a salary. He was not getting his paychecks. When you're dealing with the situation where you have $35 million contract signed by both parties, there's legal stuff you have to go through. You want to make sure you have your the I's dotted and the T's crossed and make sure that everything is done the right way. There is no issue in my mind with taking the time to make sure that it is done the proper way with all the authorities and through
the only thing I'd say to that is I agree with you. They could have done it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. My only question is why today as opposed to 2 weeks ago? They didn't do an internal investigation. Texas never spoke to Chris Beard or his fiance, Randy True. So they haven't really done – there's no more information that they've gotten now that they didn't get 2 weeks ago. So to me, either you do it 2-3 weeks ago or you wait and see if the charges are dropped. But I think ultimately they didn't even want to see if the charges were dropped because if they were, then it would make it even more difficult. The PR hit wouldn't be it'd be different, right? If the charges get dropped and then you fire him, you're going to get a segment of the people that are going to say, well, how can you fire him after the charges were dropped and the DA didn't pursue the case? So I think that's the only thing that is kind of baffling to me is the timing on this. Why today? Why not 3 weeks ago? Listen, he put his hands in a woman, period. You can't do that. She said it was self-defense. She walked back a lot of her statement. I know her. I've met her several times. The bottom line in this whole thing is you have to get the hell out of the house. You have to get out of the house if you're Chris Beard. You cannot put your hand in a woman.
Remove yourself from the situation. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Go ahead.
So now, the question, I guess, becomes moving forward. Let's start with Chris Beard, and then we'll go to Texas because those are the two things. Now that the decision has been made by Texas, does Chris Beard ever get another job in Division I coaching? I think it depends, obviously, on whether the DA pursues the case or drops it. Number one, if they drop it, does he have another opportunity? Yeah, I think he might. Depending on, again, what job it is. We've seen several coaches maybe not getting hired after incidents like this necessarily, but other things that we never thought they'd be hired again. And I think if you're a school and you're an AD and you're a president, you're going to want to talk to not only Chris Beard, you're going to want to talk to Randy True as well and hear her side of the story, even though you've seen her statement and even if the DA does not move forward with the charges.
Yeah, I don't think if he does get another job, it's not going to be for a while, and it's not going to be at a program that is anywhere near as visible as Texas. I think
No, he's done at that level
Yeah.
listen, if he's getting a job, he's getting a job at the level of a lower high major or a mid major or even a low major. It might be a low major in Texas. Who knows?
I'm honestly, if it's going to be anywhere, it's going to be like 5 years down the road, and it's going to be like some Division II program that is like he's figured it out. He's a better person now. Like whatever excuse. I don't want to act like I'm trying to
listen.
about the PR
When people know, I've known Chris Beard for 20 years. I don't know if I'm close to him. Again. Certainly I'm closer with him than a lot of coaches in this profession. This obviously you can't condone again. It's like there are certain rules that you live your life by. One for me is you never hit a woman, period. Ever, ever, ever. Now I know again, he said he wasn't the aggressor. She said, basically, she didn't dispute the fact that.
Yeah, I understand what she's saying, right? But it's be like she retracted it. She was lying. No, look, when it comes to domestic violence situations, there is a power dynamic that is going to be at play, and there is a fact that is going to be at play that incentivizes the victim in these cases to recant in the moment.
Sure.
Save yourself get the police there, right? So cool everything down, and then when everything is cooler and that person comes back and apologizes, then it's the kind of thing where you can say, okay, it didn't happen because maybe of the control in the relationship, because you're afraid to
know. Listen,
yeah, we don't know the situation. I'm not trying to talk about the specifics here. What I'm trying to say is that it in general,
just because she put out a statement,
violence, yes, it does not mean that the DA has to drop the charges, because the DA is incentivized to pursue them because of situations like this, where the man has a power dynamic and control in the relationship, and the woman might be financially dependent on him and the paycheck that comes. So it's a very, very complicated situation, but I don't think that Texas necessarily had a complicated decision here.
Yeah, listen, again, I thought it was always going to be, this was going to be the end result whenever it was going to happen. Just being, number one, again, that you had physical proof that he did something to her, number one. And number two, being that Texas, the type of school it is, right? Very liberal. I think certainly another school might have gone to bat and said, you know what, we'll wait it out. We'll wait it out and see if the charges get dropped. And if they do, you know what, we'll take the PR hit. I don't think Texas is the type of institution that was going to do that. So I think they decided at this point, let's just cut our ties today. We have enough to be able to terminate him, and our lawyers are probably telling us we have enough. And that's the only reason why I think it might have taken a little bit longer than people understand, myself included, is the early days. You want to make sure you have all the information so that if you do terminate him, you're going to have enough that you don't have to pay him. And you want to make sure you're making the right decision. I just feel like the last week or two, it's gone on and on and on. And at this point, you could have waited. At this point, you probably could have waited another month or so and seen if the case was dropped or not, the charges were dropped.
All right, so I do want to talk about what this means for this particular Texas team and what it means for the Texas program moving forward. But I do want to say one thing real quick. You mentioned how we have a relationship with Beard and how you specifically have known him for a long time. I had when I tweeted about this, a couple people jumped in my mentions and they were like, "Oh, is Goodman going to be crying? Is Goodman going to be doing this? Is Goodman going to be doing that? I know he's so close with Beard." And I just want to say, I'm not going to defend you a lot, but I'm going to stick up for you on this one, because there's nothing funny about this situation. There's nothing that's worth laughing about with this. This is not a joking matter. To say nothing of the actual crime that was alleged to have committed. If it did happen, it's horrific. It's awful, right? But this decision means that a whole bunch of people that put their faith in Chris Beard to go to Texas, to buy into his vision, to say, I'm going to be here long term, to step away from some people, head coaching positions, to go there to be on his staff, to relocate their families. A lot of people made a decision to buy into what Chris Beard was selling and to buy into his vision. And now they're in a position where they might have 3 months left and they're going to have to find a new job.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say too is like,
it's not, it's not like, this is not something.
No, it's not a
to
funny
make jokes about. Like, there's nothing funny about this.
And again, listen, I think I've always prided myself.
There's kids, there's children involved. Just like, if you're making jokes about this, I think it says a lot about who you are.
And I think you know me well enough to know at the end of the day, yes, you have relationships with these coaches. At the end of the day, I think I'm probably as objective as any college basketball writer out there, holding people accountable that needed to be held. And you know a lot of the backgrounds of the people that I hold accountable and why I do, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, you're going to hold Chris Beard accountable for what he did. And again, I'll say it over and over and over. Should not ever hit a woman, period. But I do think from my time of being around Chris Beard, I will say he is a very giving person to a lot of people, whether it's staff members, whether it's players. I think, again, you can make a mistake. And I think he made a serious mistake that's probably going to cost him his career at the end of the day. A lot of people make mistakes in life. Hopefully he will learn from this. Maybe he'll get another chance. I don't know. It could be a junior college. It could be D2. It could be low D. Whatever it is, the one thing I'll say about Chris Beard, I don't think he's an arrogant person, and you've been around him as well, that there are other people that treat people like shit. I don't think that's Chris Beard. I think he made a serious mistake here. And ultimately, again, it's something that you can't do, you shouldn't do, and hopefully he'll never do again.
Yeah, you're never as bad as the worst thing that you do in life. But when you do something like what Chris Beard did, then you don't get the privilege of being able to coach at an institution like Texas with a $5 million salary.
When you're not 18 years old anymore. You're not a kid.
Yep,
you're a grown man, and you have to understand the implications.
Yep.
Before
there's consequences to it. There's consequences to it, and I think he's getting what the consequences are. All right, so let's start with this. What's it mean for this Texas program? Because they came in with a lot of expectations. They're a top 10 team. Rodney Terry has head coaching experience. He's taking over. I know that they just kind of got whooped up on by Kansas State, but they were undefeated under Rodney Terry before that. So is this still a team that can compete for a Big 12 title? What do you think?
No, I don't. I don't think they're there. I think they were fragile to begin with. And now with everything that's happened, I just think this group is going to have a really hard time staying together. I think now the problem is with Beard being fired today, you're going to have every coach in America trying to whatever players are left that have eligibility. There aren't a ton. A lot of these guys are done, have been around a while, whether it's Marcus Carr or Timmy Allen. A lot of these guys are done, but Tyrese Hunter, you don't think he and his group are going to get calls today, as early as today? So I think, again, that's another added distraction for these kids. It was going to be a distraction anyway, and it would have gotten worse if they still had this hanging over their head come NCAA tournament time, because everybody would have asked them about them. So I don't know if it changes all that much, but I don't think this team can get to a Final Four. I think they should be able to get in the NCAA tournament, no problem. But they could get eaten up too. Who knows with all that's going on right now? Rodney Terry's been a head coach at UTEP at Fresno, so that's the benefit. Chris Ogden has been a head coach. Now maybe he'll go back on the bench. I don't know. Bob Donewall can coach. We know that. I don't have a lot of faith that this team's going to be able to make a deep run now with everything that's gone on.
Yeah, we were kind of buying into them by saying, I think Chris Beard's going to find a way to make it all work, and without that coach there,
Rodney Terry's not Chris Beard as a coach.
Yeah, I will be rooting for them. I want this to work out. I feel bad for those kids. Like, again,
of course,
those kids made a decision to go to this program to follow Chris Beard because they bought into his vision, and he kind of fucked them over.
Yeah.
I think that is what it is, and um, I I think I feel comfortable enough saying this that it's I don't think that it's frustrating to see it come down, like him make that decision that let so many people down. So many people down, and I think a lot of people have a right to be very, very upset with him in this moment. A lot of people that are associated with that program and with that team. Long term, big picture, Texas is a top 5, top 10 job in America, depending on who you ask. Austin is an unbelievable city. You get an unbelievable salary. They have a ridiculous amount of resources, and they're willing to throw money at the basketball program to make it good. So, if you are Chris Del Conte right now, you got 3 months to figure out who you want to target. Who's your list? Who are you starting with? Is it John Calipari? Can Texas go out and hire John Calipari?
No, come on.
If you're Cal and things go bad at Kentucky, would you look for the soft landing at Texas?
No. John Calipari.
Come on, man. Let's get this carousel going. I need you on this bandwagon. I need you on the Cal to Texas bandwagon.
Atrocious hire for me. Atrocious hire. It's funny. I mean, I started trying to jot down some names here, and I don't know if any of them are like perfect, because Texas is just it's a different job, right? Like, it's not a job to me. Like, they got money, but it's a football job still, even with a new arena, which is gorgeous. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. It's never going to be a basketball job per se. The crowd was pretty good when I was there for the Gonzaga game. It was very good, but I don't know if they're going to be able to, sustain that. The first names that come to mind for me is like Jerome Tang. That's like the first name, only because, again, like, Jerome Tang has done such a good job at Kansas State. It's been only half a year, but he knows the landscape of the league, of the state, of the area so well from being with Scott Drew, building that thing at Baylor for 20 or so years. So I would have Jerome Tang, and the energy. You need that. You have to have somebody, to me, that's going to go out in the community. In a lot of ways, Chris Beard was the perfect hire. Obviously, it didn't work out, but from a standpoint of connecting with students, being a salesman, also being a hell of a coach, I think you got to have all that for Texas basketball. So, Tang has that. Like, Kelvin Sampson is a great coach, but he doesn't have that. He's not going to go out and connect at this stage of his career. And he never really was a big, that wasn't what he was going to do. So I think, Tang would be a guy that I would say would be in the mix.
You know what Tang reminds me a lot of? He reminds me a lot of the other name that I think I would have second on that list right now.
Who?
And that's Brad Underwood at Illinois. Brad Underwood was at Stephen F. Austin. He got the Oklahoma State job, had a great deal of success in his first year, and was able to parlay that into getting the Illinois job. Right? I think Brad Underwood would be really good at Texas. Now, I don't know if he is the kind of personality that will be out there marketing himself and marketing his program the way that Beard was.
He would do it to some degree. He wouldn't, he wouldn't be Beard or Tang, but he could do it.
Daddy Brad looks really good in burnt orange t-shirts too. So
what about Musselman?
He would crush it there, right? But I think that's it. I think Arkansas and Texas are kind of level when it comes to what the job is. And
a lot of people would say Arkansas is a better job.
Well, I think I don't necessarily know if it's a better job, because I think there's more expectation, which means there's more pressure, which means it's easier to get fired. But I don't think Musselman is the kind of coach that's going to get to that point. It's just, I think you want a guy, if you're Texas, that can build something long term. And Musselman strikes me more as a guy that you're hiring for like a 3-4 year window, right? And I'm a little bit worried about that. It's also, if you're Muss, why would you leave a program that you have established with a fan base to go to what is going to probably be a real rebuilding job at a place that is not a basketball school? To me, Muss needs to be at a school that, like, where he can be the center of attention. He needs that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm with you. I'll read off some other names. I don't know if I love them, there as much. I would say, Bruce Pearl, be tough. I think with everything Bruce has gone through NCAA wise, probably be tough to hire somebody like that right now. Nate Oates, Chris Holtman.
Yeah, you mentioned Bruce. That name didn't even click to me, but Bruce Pearl would turn Texas into an absolute juggernaut.
Monster.
But like I take back everything I said. Bruce Pearl would be the first guy that I would go after if I was Texas.
Yeah.
NCAA
It's just, again, it's with everything that they just went through. Are they going to look squeaky clean? And that, to me, if you're going to look squeaky clean, like a guy like Chris Holtman stands out.
Yeah.
Right.
I just want to. So I really like the idea of Holtman too. I think he's a really good fit. Because also it's another situation where he's not the centerpiece, and I think that Holt works better when he's at a program where football is first and foremost. But just to circle back on Bruce Pearl, he turned Auburn into one of the best home courts in the SEC. Imagine what he could do at a school like Texas that has a bigger fan base, like he basically is Chris. Like it's him and Chris Beard are the same kind of promoter, same kind of people about how like understand like the what it takes to be able to kind of build.
Bruce
that.
is even crazier.
Yeah, I love the Tang call as well. You know, he's so good.
Are you going to add Ed Cooley to the mix?
Well, I was going to say, like, before we get out of here, you have to understand, if you are going to hire one person at Texas, you have to hire the best coach in college basketball, Ed Cooley.
I don't know if he fits in Austin, but maybe, you know, like, listen,
where did Ed Cooley not fit?
Right.
You heard what Max said last night on Field of 68 After Dark. You heard what he said. He said Ed Cooley's the kind of guy that can go and rub elbows with the donors and also rub elbows with the guys that are filling up the sodas, right? Like he fits everywhere.
When the Beard news came out, I was walking down in Charleston here and literally got stopped by a Providence fan who moved down here, and was talking to him a while, and his adoration. Right away, he didn't even say. He just goes, "You hate Providence." I'm like, no, I don't hate Providence.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
I have fun with the fan bases, but I don't want to make this too much light-hearted, because that's not what this was about. Again, you know, the circumstances of this one were tough all around.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a woman, you know, there was certainly a relationship fractured here, an incident that never should have happened, a coach losing his job, as you said, a bunch of players right now, and a team and a program in disarray. A lot of guys are going to be looking for jobs at the end of the year. That's the one thing I'm glad you brought up, because we often forget about that, of all these assistant coaches that go with these guys and have to move their families. And now they're worried, can they win enough so that Rodney Terry can keep his job, so they can keep their jobs? And that would be the ideal here, if Rodney and this team could kind of rally around each other. And again, I hope Chris Beard gets some help. And honestly, I hope he gets back on his feet, because he is one hell of a coach. And everything I've ever been around Chris Beard, I can vouch for his character. I've never seen him treat anybody poorly. I think, again, it's sad. It's sad what happened.
Yep, it is. That's a good way to kind of put a capper on it. I will be rooting for that team. I will be rooting for RT. I will be rooting for those players. You know, hook them, I guess.